Hello Recruit, and welcome to an Astroneer Academy 204 extra course discussing the stacked platforms. In our previous 204 extra course, we examined every platform and storage option that was available at the time. A recent update to the training simulation has added a pair of new stacked platforms, and they both have some pretty cool functionality. So let's jump right in. Up first is the medium stacked platform, which you can unlock in the research catalog for 500 bytes and is created on the small printer from 2 resin. When unpacked, it is a medium tier 2 platform with a rather unique layout. The lower portion features a single medium tier 2 storage slots, 2 power cable plugs, and the all-important feet and legs that allow platforms to be freestanding. The upper portion features an additional medium storage slot and 2 more power cable plugs. We will talk about some other features in just a moment. Our second item is the large stacked platform, which is also unlocked in the research catalog for 500 bytes, but is created on the medium printer from 3 resin. When unpacked, it is a large tier 3 item. The lower portion is home to 2 power cable plugs and a single large tier 3 storage slot, along with those all-important feet and legs. The upper portion has another large storage slot and 2 additional power cable plugs. Both of these stacked platforms have a very low byte cost to unlock their schematic and a very simple recipe of just 2 or 3 resin, making them both incredibly easy to acquire at any stage of your adventure. This low cost becomes even more remarkable as we discover all of the functionality that they provide. As with all platforms, connecting a single power cable from either platform into your power network will provide power to the platform and any items attached to that platform. If your power network has an oxygenator attached, oxygen will flow into the connected platform as well. And just like all other platforms, you can use the additional power cables to extend your power network to nearby platforms or other items. You can use the power cables from the upper or lower portions of the stacked platforms to make these connections. Also, just like any other platform, you can lock the stacked platforms into place to avoid accidentally moving them and unlock them if you wish to adjust or relocate the platforms. You might be thinking to yourself, cool, a couple of 2-tiered platforms. Why did this warrant a standalone course? Well, Recruit, these are not your average platforms. That much is obvious since they have 2 tiers, but these stacked platforms have an additional trick up their sleeve. The upper tier of each stacked platform will automatically adjust based upon what is stored in the lower tier. If you place something small in the lower tier, the upper tier automatically lowers. Place a larger item in the lower tier, the upper tier raises to accommodate that large item. Each of these stacked platforms have a default elevation level when you unpack them that, as best as I can estimate, is about 75% of their maximum height. If you remove all items from the lower tier, then the upper tier will return to this default elevation. This will become important in just a moment when we clear up the second misconception that we are about to discuss. So let's move on to clarify a couple of misconceptions that I have seen circulating regarding these platforms. The first is that the upper and lower portions of the platform allow you to connect into 2 distinct power networks and keep them separated. By this, I mean some astroneers speculate that you could connect one power network to the upper portion of the platform and the lower portion would remain unpowered. They also speculated that you could then attach the lower portion to a different power network and those 2 power networks would remain isolated from one another. This is not the case, however, as this scenario will result in the 2 distinct power networks merging into one. I have also seen a misconception that these platforms will allow you to utilize Autoarms on the upper portions without worry those Autoarms will be able to reach down to the ground. While our discussion of automation is still to come in our 3rd semester of courses, I wanted to clear up this misconception as well. Autoarms have a very long reach, so placing them on top of a stacked platform will not guarantee that an autoarm will be unable to reach storage, including your backpack, that is closer to the ground. This particular misconception is only partially untrue, however. If the upper tier is at its default height or higher, then an Autoarm will not generously drop items into your backpack if you walk by. You are just barely out of the Autoarms reach when it is way up there, but storage on a vehicle that passes by most likely won't be as lucky. In fact, if you happen to do a small jump as you walk by, that small amount is enough for the Autoarm to reach your backpack once again. Even putting something really tall in the lower tier will not guarantee that an Autoarm will be unable to reach anything below. Those Autoarms do give us the perfect opportunity to look into just a few possible use cases for these platforms. As with the other platforms and storage we discussed in our previous course, there really isn't a wrong way to use the stacked platforms. Since the possible ways to utilize these platforms are essentially only limited by the imagination and creativity of the Astroneer using them, it would be impossible to include every scenario. Instead, let's look at just a few options. The first is, essentially, increasing Autoarm throughput. It bears repeating that we will explore Autoarms and their implementation in automation in a later course, but for now, let's see how the stacked platforms can offer a big assist. Before the stacked platforms arrived, if you wanted multiple Autoarms to target a single area, you would have to carefully align multiple platforms so that the Autoarms attached to them could reach your intended target. Then you would also have to ensure that they were all able to reach the intended destination as well. Getting two such platforms and their corresponding Autoarms properly aligned wasn't too difficult, but getting three or more could become frustrating. Now, however, you can utilize the stacked platforms and easily have any attached Autoarm aligned to both your targeted source and your destination. Since the upper portion of a stacked platform will automatically lower when you place an Autoarm into the bottom portion, you can place an Autoarm on the upper portion as well, and they will both be able to reach your targeted source. If you utilize the large stacked platform, you can easily deploy 4 Autoarms to target roughly the same area. So now if you want a bunch of Autoarms to unload a rover or a rail car quickly, or if you want to send multiple resources to a production module, setting it all up is much more simple than before. Another use case also involves Autoarms. There can be times when an Autoarm simply cannot reach high enough to grab items from your intended source. This is especially true when you have an auto extractor placed high on a cave wall or ceiling. The Autoarm simply can't reach the output on the extractor. But if you place a larger object in the lower portion of a stacked platform, the upper portion raises, giving your Autoarm greater reach. In fact, unless you used a ramp or a jetpack to place the extractor, it is unlikely that you will be able to lift it up high enough to place it beyond where an Autoarm atop the stacked platform can reach. But the stacked platforms are good for so much more than helping out with Autoarms. Here in the Astroneer Academy base, I have utilized a lot of large T platforms. They tend to be my go-to platform since they offer a lot of flexibility for using storage and production items together. They do, however, occupy a fairly large footprint since the section at the rear extends out from the main portion of the platform itself. By moving this silo with portable smelters and storage to the upper portion of a large stacked platform and the soil centrifuge to the lower portion, I regain a bit of space behind this production area and wind up with something that looks really cool. I could do this for several other parts of this production area as well. The atmospheric condenser can move to the top of the platform with the storage below. I can drop the storage for printers onto the upper portion with the printers on the lower portion and still easily reach both. These are just a few of the nearly limitless ways you can deploy stacked platforms into your base to bring about not only an entirely new look, but also greater functionality. I urge you to consider a stacked platform the next time you need to add a platform to your base and see what type of use case you can create for them. Then be sure to head down to the comments section below to report back how you're using the stacked platforms. Today, you have learned about the medium and large stacked platforms, cleared up a couple of misconceptions surrounding these platforms, and investigated just a few of the nearly limitless ways you can incorporate the stacked platforms into your own base. If you have been following our courses as they are published, then your next course will be Astroneer Academy 301, Achievements, in which we will discuss the details of unlocking the first half of the achievements associated with the Astroneer training program. And Kronos has assured me that pleasedshibe will not be able to hack his way in again. If, however, you are watching our courses in the order they appear in the official Astroneer Academy playlist, then your next course will be a quick bite for perfectly aligning platforms, followed by another 105 extra for creating outpost bases or relocating your existing base. Until then, I'm Brandon, reminding you to keep looking to the stars.